To the cryptozoology show. We got a question for you here. What does AI K Perry and AI Justin T, Le Loup de Guru, Le Sasquatch, Le Lake Monsters have in common? Well, you'll find out through the next few shows here. But one of the things is that they've been all spotted in Montreal and Quebec. So apparently, AI Justin and AI Katy Perry can't be the real one because she'd have to be one of the theories. Shangi believes that Montreal is well known for the coke and all kinds of wild illicit drugs there, right? One of the nicknames moon dust, aka pink Peruvian plague, right? So maybe the AI. Katy Perry is on the pink Peruvian plague, and she sees Justin as you know what I mean, some scrumptious thing there. This is the most ridiculous. Like I was sticking up for the poor girl. I find her kind of charming. I can't blame Justin AI for wanting to go out with her in a nice restaurant and all that sort of thing like that. And apparently the lovers were sharing lobsters and all kinds of stuff. I can't believe, like, what is this girl on? I obviously need some of it myself, man. Make my life a little bit cheerier, man, because if she can sit and do that for hours, with that guy, you'd have to be on pink Peruvian plague, right? But anyways, on an upcoming show there, we'll cover some of these famous Quebec cryptids here. The Loup de Gru, of course, Le Sasquatch, right? And my favorite, the Beast of Septschutz. And ones like that, right? And some other wacky ones, a three-headed serpent and mermaids and all kinds of weird stuff that's been seen in the Quebecois wilderness forests and rivers and lakes and that, right? That sort of thing like that. So, but anyways, we don't really know what's going on, but I think Junkie could be right. The only logical explanation here is too much moon dust has been floating. Another one, though, that Junkie had that I thought was a good idea, and I almost more believe that Justin, said, I'm the prime minister. Let me, this AI clone of his, let's get together. I want to discuss something important with you. And he knows that she's a world class dancer. Recently, though, they were booing her on stage, the poor girl. So I figured she just had a rough night or whatever, right? And her concerts were wacky or something like that because she went apparently to the moon or was heading up in some kind of flight ship thing, right? So I don't know. The whole internet turned against her over this. I mean, totally silly. I mean, she's just a lady with some other girls here that are doing a gig, right? Like, I mean, somebody hired them to do this. And it seemed like a fun thing, and they went and done it, right? But the public turned on them about it, right? And that sort of thing like that. So it's the poor Katie. I felt sorry for her and that sort of thing because she's very charming and a nice looking girl and quite skilled and all that sort of thing, right? And that, maybe that when she went flying up there, this moon dust might be available up in outer space more frequent. And when she ever wakes up off of this moon dust and stuff like that, she should do like what he does, drink Le Bat Cinquante and stuff like that, right? If she had enough of those, it would calm down the moon dust effect, and then she'd realize that she's actually sitting with just an AI or a lobster or whatever that they're into, right? And that's it. I can't believe this of all the silly things I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know if this is some kind of promotion because Trudeau figures that once people get all pissed off with this Carney guy, they already are. A massive amount of people just find him boring as hell and just completely useless, right? So he figures that the average Canadian citizen is so fried that they won't even remember he was a prime minister before, and he'll start off again. So if you get yourself out there constantly, right, like with other famous celebs, you're important still, and that sort of thing, right? And she could be doing the same, thinking that this will boost her sales in the Canadian market. Who knows, right? Or they're maniacal robots that are being sent out there to pretend that they're these people to make their life more miserable, right? Who knows? But anyways, we got an amazing show here. We got a lot of different ones with some real lake monster films and a whole bunch of stuff, Sasquatch too, a lot of strange things. So anyways, stay tuned. Folks, this show, I want to cover something. Years ago, I ran across this and I lost the information about it, and I was totally enthralled with it. And I always wanted to do an episode about this, but I could never find the photograph again of this. So I'm going to cover to you an actual real physical evidence that was found in Tacoma, Washington in the 1920s that fully proves that a Sasquatch-like creature existed then. Right? So, I mean, what's the difference, right? I mean, so this is the scientist guy been listening to the 60s there. You ignored the Lovelock Giants, right? They 100% match a Sasquatch in every way, shape, or form, yet you fully ignore that. Right, you ignore another tribe where they actually some of their children escaped and were raised by the normal native group, and that have tell you that they were raped by these cannibals and were children of them, right? And they have partial furs and things like this. This has been going on since ancient times, and this is real physical evidence. There's also a giant hand finger that was found over in the Middle East, right? That vanished because, again, some big scientist group here probably bought this thing and away it went, right? And that, but this one still exists, right? And it's in a museum. And in the 80s, there was some research done on it and things like that. So we'll be covering about that. And the previous show there, I had on some funny cryptids of New Hampshire there and that, and I put on Caroline Leavitt there, or Levitt. I'm not sure exactly how she pronounces it. I've seen both of them do this, right? Like some say Leavitt, others say Levitt, right? But she's like I said, a real character. If you haven't run across her yet, you got to see this young lady in action in that. And just to make it clear, I'm way too old for right? But she's married. I don't go after married women and that sort of thing like that. But I just totally love everything about her. If she was a daughter, I would love that. Like, I mean, because I like that she's prepared. She's ready for action. She doesn't bow down to people and all that sort of thing. Presents herself always that. And I mean, she's very young, right? So in this age group, you can't find too many people like this, right? There's some geniuses. I see some kids on the internet, and the kid's like 7 or 8, and he's pretty brilliant. Gives me hope, right? But I mean, a lot of them aren't. They're driving around. I knew a guy. This is actually true, that his parents babied him so much. What a lucky life! But he's in bad shape, way worse than even me, right? And that sort of thing like that. But this guy's like obese and all kinds of problems, right? And his parents were multi-zillionaires, but never spent a day with him, barely. They just left him in the basement. He had a black credit card like thing, and just go to McDonald's, feed yourself, do this. So he was taught how to kind of fend for himself a little bit, and they take care of the rest, any bills, any kind of thing, and just put money in his bank account. All of a sudden they died off, and he's in his 50s. This guy had to get me to bring him to a bank and explain how to pay bills and everything. I mean, right? So I mean, when I see people like this, right, like compared to what I'm used to around here, quite frequently, right, and it's amazing. I mean, you'll see women they're 30 in their 30s, and the girls walking right at a handicapped person. They're standing there limping and walking with their walker or whatever, and they expect them to move out of their way, and they're also walking on the wrong side of the road, right? That sort of thing. But I mean, you get all this kind of stuff now, so there is hope out there. There's a certain amount of them. So if you happen to be one of the viewers here and you're a smart young lady or fellow, well, then great for you, right? I'm impressed, and I mean, there is ones out there that are quite genius, right? And that sort of thing like that. However, there's a lot that are naive and a lot that are silly, and a lot of things here where people at 16 in my age era were way more mature than people at 35, 40s now that I see, right? A lot of them, right? So, I mean, these things are interesting, but we actually have here for the Joe Nichols, all these kinds of guys here, super critics, right? This is very, come on, guys. I mean, you got to get to a point where I'm going to show you some things here that this is like physical evidence and early films before the CGI stuff is available and all that sort of thing like that. And clearly shows you that there is something left that. The guy was a giant, right? He was alive in recent times, right? He's, so we'll cover all these things here where these things in some of these monster films that cannot be a robot, a fake rubber monster, any of these sort of things. Therefore, there's only one other logical conclusion that yes, these things truly exist. I mean, I've been out in the water, like I said, for about 6 decades, a little bit over, and been fishing all my life and did see some strange things, including in a few lakes, what I would believe that is impossible that they were animals known to science, right? And that, but I mean, this is so slim out of like several near 100,000 hours out on the water, right? And fishing thousands of lakes over the ages, right? And investigating thousands more, right? And that sort of thing like that, where I wasn't able to, but I tried to get as much information as I ever could on the places and talk to locals, whatever, right? And that's some I wasn't able to fish or different things like that. But the thing is that my viewpoint on that is very different, right? Because I've ran across so many strange things and wayward creatures that shouldn't be there, like seals and different ones, right? So I know that there is way more to the lake monster phenomena than just a log, as Joe Nichols would like to say, right? And that sort of thing like that. So, anyways, but some of this evidence is really good stuff here. Even if you're the most skeptic of a person in that, I'll explain to you why that I'm telling you that these things, if you analyze them and really think about it, some people should come on board that there definitely is 100% such thing as a Sasquatch-like creatures out there. Some are feral humans, some are 50-50, some are ancient giants that still live amongst us, and same with lake monsters. There's mobile kinds that just go from lake to lake to lake. They clear it out quickly. You get some sightings. Poof, oh, the monster's gone. He's now in another lake 10 miles away or 100 miles, whatever, right? You got that. You do have probably some that seemingly are the same that have been trapped in the same lake for ages, right? And you have wayward creatures that are known to science that shouldn't be in there, from whales to walrus and seals and sharks and rays and all kinds of strange things, as well as unknown to science, right? So a whole smorgasbord creates the lake monster phenomena, including a few logs from the Joe Nichols answer and many other things, right? So, but anyways, if you haven't seen this Caroline, she's just a great example. And even if you don't like politics like me, I'm not a big political person, and I barely know the difference between the Republican and the Democrats and some of these things, right? Of what they do, right? But all I can say is, as far as a job person goes, and the way she presents herself, she's ready for action. She has already an amazing background at such a young age, right? So she's extremely mature for her age. Now, occasionally I see her do some, I can still tell there's youngness in her there, which is good, right? Like, you can't be too old and grumpy too quick, right? So stay young. Oh, you can, right? But the thing is that this girl is like suitable for the job and that sort of thing like that. It gives me hope that some of the younger people out there do have a brain out there, right? Because a lot of them don't, but I see some that do, right? And they're very impressive and that sort of thing like that. So, and if you like cryptids and all that, again, you're always welcome to subscribe to the channel. I'm getting a little bit better, so I'm able to do more of these shows, and I have other things that I have coming up and that sort of thing like that. So anyways, we'll continue on this show. We got a few more cryptids there to cover there and sort of thing like that, and some very unusual Sasquatch evidence that really clearly I don't see how people keep denying this, right? Like, and that sort of thing like that. And a few real lake monster films for sure. They're not CGI or any of these kinds of things. So stay tuned. There's a place like Seneca film. I researched that place, pushed on it, and thank God I didn't see this, because if it went near my boat, I would have tripped. This is an authentic lake monster film, folks. This is before CGI. Now, I'm going to show you some things here. When this creature comes up and does a loop, you can tell it's exactly the same animal. There, right in there, you'll see that. You'll see these loops, and there's a space underneath it. So this guy filmed this. There, on that one. Okay. Let's see here. Can we bring that back a little bit? See if we can get this. It's difficult to do here to freeze this, but there's there. You can see the loop is perfect, right? Now this area is completely different. Look at how far distance you can see to right and left. It can't be somebody maneuvering something with a bow or any of this sort of thing. This is an older video camera-like thing, and it's authentic. Now, when I talk to the locals, they seem to see it more like a giant snake, right? But a few did mention that they saw plenty ears on the thing, which I thought was strange, right? But I had never seen this film. And then once I see this, then we're not dealing, there could be giant snakes in there as well, but this is not a snake. This is a totally unknown worm-like creature to science that may actually live in this lake full time sort of thing, right? It could be a mobile lake monster that visits it frequently, but the sightings are consistent over a long, long time, right? But here's where we're going to get into some interesting things. Now, this is a totally different location soon. You can see him there. That was part of his head there that came up with the same thing. Identical there. See him there? Okay. Identical with the same kind of maneuvers that he does. He's like some kind of... now, here we go. See this island? We're going to see it's the same creature in two different locations. Look, as far as you can humanly see, there's no boats there. There's no anybody, right? And there he is. Okay, now I also froze the frames, and he actually is gulping down maybe some kind of freshwater shrimp or Daphnia copepods or some kind of dead debris-like material that it chases, or small fish. It's something like that, because his mouth is not very big. I don't think he'd be able to even remotely swallow a human, even if he wanted to try and get a grasp at you, right? But you can see here that there's a building on there, right? And we're going to get better here. I don't know why the light seems to be... can we do something with this? Yeah. Here, we got it up a little bit more light there because for some reason it's quite dark. But look at the length of that compared to those rocks. So anybody can easily get an idea how huge this thing is. If somebody talk about, I talked a little bit about this case before, but it terrifies me so much that it's very interesting, extremely so. And this is Murder Land Between the Legs. I was right in this area before, and that sort of thing like that. I never got to Fishtail Hollow Lake though, and that sort of thing like that. I would love to fish, right? And that, but I fish not massively far from it. And these sorts of things have been through that general area in the past, right? But this is an authentic case that is terrifying. This is the trailer that was found after. So here's the basic thing. There was a family of four, right? And they went to this place that's called Land Between the Lakes that used to have people inhabiting it on it. And then they decided to do flooding and remove them and things like that and create this huge nature-like reserve-like sort of thing, right? And that's that sort of thing. So what had happened was this family and went and drive down there, and this was like early in the spring, probably like late March, April, somewhere in there, sort of thing, right? And it was a family of four, and they also had a friend, sort of that they knew, Barton Nunley, and he was the only one that survived, right? I saw the interview with him and that sort of thing, and he hid underneath the trailer, right? But somewhere in that evening there, towards the morning, early morning or something, right? Some creature came along and ripped the door right open. Okay, when they finally found these people, right? When the police came, right? They found them with their arms and legs and stuff just like ripped right out. A cougar and some of the stuff can't really do this kind of thing. And how would a cougar open up the door and rip it open like that? Or a bear, right? And bears were thought extirpated from that area for a long, long time, right? And so then they started thinking, well, maybe it could be some grizzly that got way off course or something. But some of the deaths and the way that's done, it's just they don't attack like that. Then a coroner came, right? And this area is between like Kentucky and Tennessee, right? And that's sort of like right at the border, right? But this coroner, the guy said that these whatever this was super huge, right? Like really, really big, right? And that it couldn't have been like any of these sorts of things, like a bear or a wolf and that sort of thing, right? In like this guy, the bite marks and everything was just so horrendous, and the police were throwing up all, like they were getting sick, which I can't blame them, man. No matter how macho you are, I mean, when you're seeing ripped up bodies and the stench and that and all that sort of thing, and so at first they thought there was only a family of three, but then they found a dress that was ripped with blood a little bit. So then the girl's not there, right? They found no part of her, right? So they started looking up at trees and screaming and doing all kinds of things, looking around for her, right? All over the place. And she was like, all they found of her, I mean, it was disgusting. They found a part of her leg and a little bit of her arm or something, and torso or something, and the rest was gone. And this creature climbed her way up a huge tree, or somehow she shot up there, and then it went up there and decided to eat her, right? And that sort of thing like that. But now here's what's interesting. There's been no known match of any predator that with these kind of teeth marks and the giant size that they were, or the claws, right? That's what the coroner said, right? And another thing is the poor girl that was in the tree, she grabbed on trying to defend herself. And so that makes me kind of think more likely she tried to hide up the tree, and sadly, maybe she made a sound or the creature smelled her or whatever, right? And that sort of thing, and then decided to bring her up there or brought her up there alive still and do the killing there, whatever, right? Some kind of strange thing occurred there, right? But she grabbed onto some of his fur, and this fur belongs to no and animals still, right? And they shut this all up. Now, get a load of this. There was a lady that worked in town, right? And she had this like gas station and that, and she witnessed these guys come and they didn't want to talk about it and they were throwing up and doing all kinds of stuff. But now get a load of this. Some kind of men in black like guys all of a sudden arrived and told them that they were taking over the place, right? Like, and that this is for you not to speak about it. They went and told this lady after that she, you know what I mean, that she wasn't allowed to speak about this any further and don't talk about this or nothing. So they completely, like, seemingly wiped this right out. But there's all kinds of witnesses, including the guy that hid underneath, and he said that it was some kind of like werewolf-like creature, right, of some sort. It was just one guy that was like a Bigfoot like thing, but like more werewolfish, right? But this guy was petrified and he was hiding underneath, right? The trailer, right? But I saw the interview with him and I've never been able to see the interview again. I lost it. I had it bookmarked. Somebody had it out there, right? And that, but I mean, this is terrifying. I mean, what? It couldn't have been a bear, really. Like, seriously, they can't do stuff like that, right? Like, they can maul a lot of things and that, but not rip people's arms out by the sockets like that and these strange things. This is more like great ape sort of stuff, right? And again, this what I'm telling you is that werewolves, aka maybe a Sasquatch with lycanthrope disease, right? But they develop the Sasquatch like power and strength and all this sort of thing, right? Or there really could be such things as a loup de garou, right? Like, I mean, they've been reported just as long as Bigfoot in every culture and the thing of giant wolf-like creatures. Some there's this mysticism of a human turning into that. I don't believe this at all, but in the sense that, yeah, a wild human that's crazy could be one of something like that if this guy was born with this kind of thing. But this is clearly like if it is a Bigfoot like sort of thing, right? And the guy's like more werewolfish, right? He's crazy, right? Like this one's a cannibal real killer sort of one, right? And just like humans, I mean, every so many, right? You get ones that are way more out to lunch than the next, right? But this is a true, real thing that occurred here. It's terrifying. I saw one of the only witness that survived this, right? That guy's really lucky. I presume what occurred is that all that blood and everything was masking his smell. And because he was way underneath the trailer and the creature's so tall and it just, and then heard maybe the girl running and it would chase after her next, who knows, and finds her up the tree. Well, that got him all away from the whole thing, and this guy got real lucky here, and I mean, big time. So could you imagine, though, how bad did that poor guy, you know, must feel and all that sort of thing, right? Like, I mean, absolutely terrifying. It's one of the most, besides the Diatla Pass, I told you about this other fellow that sent in this very interesting thing about that there was a secret base in World War One and this sort of thing like that, and these guys, the Polish were following the Russians, and they went up over this thing, and for 2 days were being slaughtered by some kind of mysterious giant creatures, right? Because that's what even the people said. It looked like some giant killer animals of some sort did this, right? I mean, they ripped their arms off. The same thing. You get these same kind of sort of stories around, right? In areas for hundreds of years, right? People found with their arms just ripped right off, right? One of the earliest Bigfoot accounts of a killing of a Bigfoot, I told you, was in the Okefenokee Swamp region. But these guys guys were from Florida and stuff like that, that they all decided to get this thing. And it was way in there. So it could have been, as far as I know, like more in the Florida border or whatever, right? But anyway, somewhere between Georgia and Florida, when these guys were trapping out for several days, right? They ran across a couple of these crazies, right? But they ran across this main one and shot it with muskets gazillions of times, right? And this thing was ripping people's heads off, ripping their arms. They even described the copper-colored nails on him. He was 13 feet tall with 21-inch feet. I mean, they had all the stuff, his arm length and all the crap. I mean, there's no way the gorillas weren't knowing yet any of these sorts of things. This guy couldn't have imagined all these perfect things about it, right? And that sort of thing like that. So some of these guys were killers, right? Like in many locations, and maybe that's why people vanish every year. Everybody wants the Harry and Henderson's Bigfoot, but there's versions out there, and this loop de guru like phenomena. And because lycanthropy disease is inside of humans, and because a lot of these guys are ancient giant humans of some sort, right, that are related down the, somehow they became this way, right? Like, I don't know from how long ago or whatever, but some of them, like I said, are feral, where people become almost like that much quicker than you'd imagine because they're forced to survive out in the woods 24/7, and they've inherited giant genes and this hypertrichosis and things like that. There is these examples, like I said, that have been caught already, right? And things like that. So all this sort of stuff makes up the full Bigfoot-like phenomena. However, this one here is terrifying. This is a guy that's not nice, man. Right. A lot of Bigfoot will tell you, you hit the road, they'll shoot a rock at you and stuff, but they're not a cannibal because they're used to eating berries or whatever. But maybe in low areas like those, giants with Sarah Winnemucca, right? The red-haired giants, right? And that, like I said, Bigfoot to me is already proven. I mean, you have a book written in the 1800s about this killer Bigfoot red-haired giants, right up to 11 feet tall, that would rape and kill and do all kinds of stuff, right? And they were cannibals, right? And that sort of thing like that. But they're fully covered with fur. They're giants, right? I mean, come on. I mean, in one group, and their skulls are still in a museum, right? And this is what we're going to be covering next. To me, undisputable, another thing here that is like astonishingly shouldn't be being disputed here. I mean, it's really crazy stuff. This is 100% shows that a Sasquatch-like creature was alive in the United States of America just over 100 and some years ago. So here we go. Now, this is an interesting one. I saw a photograph of this in some other book before, ages ago, or some weird article someplace, right? But I forgot about it, and I always wanted to cover up on this sort of thing. But here, 1920s Tacoma, Washington, okay? This hunter, he finds the Sasquatch toe, right? So it was given out to a museum. Oh, for goodness sake, the museum's not there. But anyways, it's around that region there somewhere, right? This museum. And, so in the 1980s, somebody got curious about it because they just put it down anomaly and they weren't sure if it was even authentic or everything. So they did tests on it. It was completely different. It was human to primate-like, but different from anything that they've ever run across. It's actually real. Now look at the size of the toe of that and the fur still on there. This is still in a museum, folks. Why is the scientist guys say, we need a bone, we need this and this? This is right in front of you, dudes. It's here. Just like the Chinese one I told you about, they chopped off the guy's hand. All of a sudden, nothing about it ever again. These are indisputable. This is a real Sasquatch toe right in front of you. This is exactly how they describe them. You can see the wearing and the cracks in his toes and everything. It's a giant human's. That's a great ape-like toe here. It's not a bear's or anything else, right? And it's real. So you can't say that it didn't come from somebody and it's not millions of years old. Some dude very recently was walking around alive with that friggin' toe, right? So why do people deny these things, right? This has been sitting amongst us here since the 1920s. Could have already resolved it, right? And why does not, all these guys, why isn't Giorgio and all these people, how come everybody ignores this? I find this ridiculous. This is huge, huge physical evidence, just like the Pangbachi hand was, right? Because Jimmy Stewart smuggled it over, right? Because nobody stops like a big celebrity like that back then, right? Sort of thing like that. So, but what the guy did is he replaced one of the digits there with something else, right? But just because you did that, you still have four digits not belonging to any known animal on this planet, and that does match. And this giant size of the hand, it's not a bear's, it's not anything. So therefore, there was really a Yeti-like sort of guy floating around at one time with funny hands like that. Just because you they were concerned that what they did is they smuggled it out, but they tricked the guy. They tricked the guy in there. They put like something that looked close to it and put it back so he wouldn't notice. Right? He took like and that sort of thing like that to smuggle it away from one of these monk guys, right? And that sort of thing. So that's why that occurred, right? But that was to get it out of there, right? They were trying to, for a scientific purpose, and they knew that these guys wouldn't allow them to take the thing, right? But still, the bone itself, the ones that was examined, it doesn't belong to anything, right? So somebody made that, right? And again, here, and also I showed you, I think I have on another show, I showed you a giant finger that was found over in the Middle East, right? And it's not massively old, right? It shows that a giant human being of epic sizes here, like 14, 15 feet tall, existed at one, like not that massive long ago, right? Here's your Sasquatch toe. It's real. It's still in a museum. Its DNA doesn't match. It's humanish, apish like, but different from the rest, right? So, like I say, one of the original true ancient Mount Washington kind of giants here, all these, the Sasquatch of BC, the ancient red-haired giants, right? Like the I don't know, like the Nephilim type that have lived for ages in these mountainous regions, probably after the flood, right? And that sort of thing like that. But like I said, that sometimes regular humans have been grabbed by them. They've had children with them, and sometimes the children are strange where they collect some of the stuff. Some of the children may be born just like a regular 9 to 5 child here in our regular society of today and wouldn't make it in the cave. They're not going to. So only the ones that keep the same genes, the muscles, the fur, and all that sort of stuff, or at least most of it, will survive that sort of thing. And if the mother doesn't die of heart attacks from this big creepy ape leaping on her every night and all that sort of stuff and survives it, she may teach the child something if she's some really wild mother that's really a mother sort of thing, right? Even so, she's not blaming the kids that he's a big furry ape and that. But I mean, you could see like anyway that, I mean, you couldn't blame the poor mom. I mean, this creature that really isn't, he's human, but he isn't like human like us, right? I mean, you can see why she would maybe abandon the child or be killed. Who knows, like, what they do with them. I find it strange that you don't find more of these sorts of stories, right? Because but that's, I think that a lot of times maybe this isn't successful when they do it and the poor girl just dies, right? And that sort of thing like that. And it's rare that actually one will survive it. So it's just enough to keep the stories going, right? And in certain areas, there was enough of these ancients to always have a small population, and it doesn't get much bigger. There's tiny tribes that have been around for thousands of years that are very, very low numbered, and they don't get any bigger, but they don't get much smaller either, sort of thing, right? So it's the same kind of idea. That there's ancient giants amongst us in many locations worldwide that somehow survived the flood, and these guys still live in our forests and that. But anyways, this is a pure. You cannot argue, Joe Nichols. You can't say that that's a tree trunk. It's not. They've already investigated. It really does. It's a human-like toe on the right hand toe of a giant unknown apish human of some sort. It was found in Tacoma, Washington, right home of Bigfoot and everything. I mean, really, what more do you want? Right. So, I mean, yeah, no matter what anybody claims, right, this is very hardcore evidence to me that that's all you need. I mean, scientists will accept some bird that they thought was extinct for 1,000 years by some guy getting a blurry photograph. They don't have a problem with that. But the second you get into this stuff, then all of a sudden they'll deny it to the ends of the earth, right? Because there's some cover up for this. There's some reason that our governments and things like this don't want these things knowing. Like, I mean, why was this Land O'Lakes? These men in black guys showing up, right? What's really going on, right? Like, I mean, very strange, right? Like, so there's funny things out there that are being hidden by our governments and our museums and and the scientists and that. So, I mean, but I want to show you a couple of films here that clearly cannot be a human being. And I'm going to show you a couple Lake Monster films that are clearly real and clearly cannot be any known sort of creature, right, of the typical sort, right, and that sort of thing like that. But you always get these scientists. There was another one there. They found these teeth marks on this elk bone. The DNA was humanish like, but different, slight variants, right? And the guy had real teeth. Over 30 dental experts studied it. They said it was real, wasn't made with saws or cuts or any kind of thing like that. So when they found this bone, this elk bone chewed up and all that, this great ape, giant Bigfoot guy, really was chewing down on this thing, and this guy had 2.5 times the size of teeth, therefore indicating that the person would have to be monstrous size, right? You see what I mean? Like, so, I mean, these things are out there. So for the critic guy, you can't explain this toe. It's real. It's not a fake toe. It's still in a museum. What? I mean, really, right? And the DNA is different, but it's humanish like, right? So it did belong to some kind of guy that was humanish like over 100 years ago in Tacoma, Washington, conveniently home of Sasquatch and all that Washington State and many other places, right? California, BC, and what have you. So anyways, you can argue all you want with it, but if somebody did more about this, you could probably at least make a severe case that yes, the Sasquatch exists. So anyways, we'll continue on. Here, folks, is an authentic Sasquatch film. I've seen 3 now like this that they can't be they can't be a human being here. Okay, watch in the background there. You can see see him. He just ripped a log off. You actually see his body come out. It is a hairy being of some sort that is doing it. Okay, there. Did you see a little bit of him there? His arms come out sometimes and different things, right? Look at this. Look at the strength of that. Look at that. Look. Unbelievable. Like, there is no way that that's a guy in a suit. So, I mean, totally, totally extraordinary, right? You'll actually see a part of him in somewhere where he comes in the frame for a little bit there. So, but look at that. I mean, totally ridiculous. I mean, look at the strength of that. Totally nuts. It can't be a human is, in a suit. Okay, so here's this lake monster film from supposedly Lake Okanagan. Okay, now some people are going to try and say it's a sturgeon. It can't be because there's a big, long, whippy tail. Do you see that? Like, sort of thing like that. And also the fin structure is in the wrong position, right? Like the dorsal fin like area, the platypus fin should be further back. This was supposedly in Lake Sturgeon in Sweden, right? And that and this is some kind of whales here they got in or something. Anyways, that's definitely a living animal there, and there's two of them it seems. You can see the head of the other one up on the side. So it's not like it's actually two, a pair here, right? So very interesting. Show there will have as well some more killer werewolves. There was piles of accounts in Quebec City and in Montreal, massive hundreds of years ago, when Canada was not even really a full sort of country yet or anything like that, right? And there was a group of murders and things in Quebec City, especially. So we'll talk about that sort of a thing like that. Oh, that was we got cut off there at the beginning. Jean Guy had a couple other theories that was pretty entertaining. He believes that possibly that the Katy Perry AI agreed to meet this Justin AI because that in the past there you see him he's always dancing doing these Bowery boy dances, right? So maybe he wants to, knowing that Katy Perry's like a really good dancer and all that sort of thing like that, right? Well, then maybe he's trying to get some pointers and things like that, right? So he can dance more even authentic, like a real super Bowery boy, right? So that could be, that's another feasibility there or something like that. You know, so anyways, I have no idea why on earth there's, I'm sure there's some kind of craziness to it of some sort. That's, I'm sure, a logical entertaining sort of thing. Shongi says he had an informant down there that was speaking in on the restaurant, and apparently one thing this KDAI found a bit strange is that he was dipping his lobster in a low poutine sauce. So that could be so that I imagine even Katy Perry AI might be confused by that. Shocky's always loads of entertainment and that sort of thing like that. So who knows, right? Like, but very interesting, anyways. So one thing we know for sure that either some kind of mannequins or a clones or AI robots or possibly the real ones, I guess, that these they met in Montreal in a fancy restaurant, and we're sharing lobster and a zippity doodah, right? So who knows? That is the most weirdest thing I've ever like right out there about outer space. It's like I don't know. It's like having Walter Cronkite, meeting what's her name there, Lisa LaFlamme or something, right? Like, I don't know. It's just such a strange combination, anyways. But who knows? So, we'll keep you informed there if Sean Geese informants knows anymore. So if you have any sightings, again, contact me there. I always love these. I don't get a lot of stories, but and half the time the ones that send them to me, they either want to be anonymous or whatever. Thinking, I don't know. People are funny, right? Like that. Whilst with others seem to get 10 million, right, and that sort of thing like that. But I'm very private. I always keep these people. I don't really I'm not going to say where they're from or these guys, just because I don't know what kind of hassles people get. Like, I've been bugged about the Sasquatch phenomena that, but then I'm able to back up a lot of things, right? And that sort of thing, like we did here in this show here with the, Sasquatch toe, right? I mean, something left that. He was a giant. I mean, what more can we say, right? So, anyways, I still have some magical items and different things, but because I have a little bit more time to do some of these sort of shows, I'm just mixing it up and different things like that. So, anyways, hopefully you enjoyed it and stay tuned. Sturgeon in that supposedly uh, Lake Okanagan film, right? I don't care where it was filmed, even if it's another lake and they're hiding it, is still an unknown, probably fish species of some sort to science. And I'll explain to you like I'm sure the some of these other shows, they got this panel of experts, and every time this lady says it's a piece of garbage or a sturgeon, she doesn't know a sturgeon from Micropterus samoyedi, right? Like, so if she doesn't know her Spencer, she doesn't know Usos, and she doesn't know seemingly, I don't know where this lady got her degree from, because at least the other one, there's one, Kathy, she's intelligent and has a more, she's not scared to put her reputation on the line a little bit here. But when somebody's looking at a film and clearly it's not a piece of garbage, and you're that chicken that you're worried about somebody's going to knock you in that, you're being knocked by talking so silly, right? Like, and so if you say this is a sturgeon, I will laugh in your face, right? For multi reasons. Okay, look at the back adipose fin here. You don't see that on the creature. You actually see it mid-centered here. There's no, there's none of these sort of things. The pectoral and pelvic fins, possibly, on the film are more similar in size, right? Whilst with you see that clearly this isn't the case, right? You don't see, also there's no adipose fin here. It seems just only up there. And then at the caudal fin, you see this great big long whippy tail like some ancient sort of sharks have and things like that. So clearly this cannot be a known species, at least of sturgeon, right? So again, is some kind of fish seemingly because of the dorsal fin on it seems kind of like fishish here, much more so than most other creatures, right? And some of the things in the way and that. Now, his head does look sturgeonous. So either it's an unknown species of to science of a sturgeon, which is feasible, or some kind of shark-like related species, sawfish, any kind of thing like that. Something strange, right? In these kinds of families, right? And but whatever it is, if she says that's a piece of garbage or any of these things, just laugh, right? Because I've been fishing for sturgeon since I was 4. I've never some species I've never gotten to chase and rush in different countries, right? But the Canadian, North American ones, I've chased a lot of them. They thought the green sturgeon was extinct. I caught one in the 70s, right? and they said that they were extinct for ages. And some guy actually right near where their observatory, 20 some years they were doing this, they never find not even one green sturgeon. And this guy catches a bunch of them in an afternoon with a regular rod and reel and a little worm sort of stuff going on. So this is why I don't, because remember, it's a guy with netting, right? And he's just going by charts. And a lot of times these lakes were never, they didn't have the Kevin Van Dams out there with their cheat boxes and their GPSing and everything else to map the lake properly, right? And, I used to teach early flashers, and it takes a long time to map a lake good under those kind of circumstances, right? You can do it way faster nowadays with the technology and that sort of thing. So these guys wouldn't have even known. They don't know the depths of the lake and everything. They just do some random netting, and whatever they catch, that's the species that's in there, right? I've done this multi-bodies of water, Muskrat Lake. I caught a tiger muskie in there, a muskie in Christie Lake and the border of this river, and there's another river with almost a similar name that goes into Clayton Lake, and I always get these two confused. But anyways, I think it's the Tay River is called, and I caught a muskie there in the '60s, and not until 2000 and some the ministry. Same with largemouth bass. We were having largemouth bass tournaments, earliest Canadian, more pro-like sort of tournaments there, right? A sort of thing that was starting to occur in the sort of early Quebec and Ontario. They give Bob Azumi's dad the starter of this, and that's not really true. There was Loyalist, Labatt, smallmouth tournaments, to these early Quebec quad ones that started in the later '70s, right? That I started entering. Even though I was younger and stuff like that, I'd get an adult partner and take them on, right? And it was me who was really doing the damage, right? So that sort of thing like that. And so we were catching largemouth bass out of there for ages. I was guiding for them and everything else before these guys even knew they existed in the river, right? So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of misinformation when you're listening to a ichthyologist or a marine biologist. Remember, they're only getting a little part of it, right? Anglers will run across fish that they won't. They're rarer, and so they're not going to catch them in their nets, or they're netting in the wrong areas, and all kinds of things, right? So they should listen to anglers way more than what they do, right? And that sort of thing like that. That film for sure, and the one that's supposedly in Lake Storage is in some states Loch Ness, but I don't recognize that terrain at all. It does look more something like it would come from the Storgeson place. Wherever it is, it's a freshwater environment, and there's two whale-like creatures in it, proving my case that somehow there's underwater caverns or underwater rivers, things like that. And this has already been documented, some over 1,500 miles, that a shark went from the ocean and went up into a little pond in the middle of a desert through an underground river. So I suggest that any types of creatures, depending on how big that they are and how big these openings are, and that can get through, right? So in that case, somehow whales or some species similar to a whale it got in there somehow, right? So there's real lake monsters out there and real unknown fish species. Like last year, I think there was like just in one area over 800 new species. So the scientist guy sounds silly to me when you catch over 800 new species, some years thousands, and that you never even seen them before. So why are you dubious of when hundreds of people tell you that there's a huge shark or these kinds of things like that, when you every year catch brand new things? And they were so little known that even a lot of times the locals have never seen them before. So they don't even recognize them, right? So why is this shocking to you in areas where it is more urbanish and that a lot more people are out in the water or in the forest and that they tell you they've seen a Bigfoot or this or that? Because you can't keep a legend going this long with the exact same features and everything. It's not a meme again, right? And these sort of things like that. So anyways, next show we'll cover more about these kinds of things, but for sure, the Lake Seneca creature is some kind of worm-like, either mobile lake monster, but I'm not sure about that one because of the consistent sightings when I was there in the '70s, right? And that there was giant snake tails there way before, I'm sure, and this sort of thing. But some of them said strange things with the ears. I've even seen drawings from Quebec and other bodies of water matching the same thing with the same pointy ears, and he's got this face like almost like seahorse-ish, giraffe-ish, right? And very matching the description. It's pipe-like. Some have a ridge on their back. This could be a male-female thing. Who knows? But there seems to be numerous kinds of these worm-like sort of, and serpenty, some where the guy's more ahead of a snake and that, mobile lake monsters, or some that are just trapped in the thing that are worm-like, and they live off of eating small minnows and dead debris off the bottom and weird things like that, besides the eel phenomena and some of the other ones, right? So, and a couple other things there. Jean-Guy some of the other theories. I'm not sure if we got this on the other clip or not, but anyways, a couple of the other theories is that Justin was AI, was meeting Katy Perry AI to learn how to become a better dancer because he wants to be a world-class Bollywood dancer. So that could be something like that sort of thing like that. But if they're actually AI robots or clones, or if it's really them or whatever, right? And that sort of thing like that, if it's real true love and they actually love each other and they like dipping their lobsters in a little poutine sauce and stuff like that, well then I wish them well. So I mean, I've seen stranger couples. You see this hot Barbie doll from Russia, and she's with this little round guy that looks like Danny DeVito or something, right? Like there's these couples, right? So I mean, yeah, they exist out there. Love is love. But I love the Lake Okanagan monster, even though he's very different from what I saw. I saw the typical, what most people see in this lake, right? But there's other mysteries out there, right? And things like that. And like I said, if one monster can get in, others can too, right? But surely this is more likely some unknown fish species to science. So anyways, stay tuned next show.